welcome address and to give the project outline. Now, I would like to invite Professor Nadira Karunavira, President of the National Academy of Sciences, Sri Lanka.
Thank you, Nimchi. Okay. Chief guest, Professor Remy Quirian, who is joining us virtually. Guest of honor, Professor Nouri Yuridise and Professor Sakri Hamid. Dr. Peter McGrath, Coordinator, Inter-Academy Partnership. Mr. Rohan Pettiagoda, our keynote speaker. Distinguished invitees, presidents and representatives of science academies, members of the Council of National Academy of Sciences of Sri Lanka, fellows, colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed an honor and a privilege that I get to welcome all of you on behalf of the National Academy of Sciences Sri Lanka for the inauguration of the workshop on institutionalizing science advice to governments. Before I start describing the study and the event, I thought I'll give you a brief description of the National Academy of Sciences of Sri Lanka, NASSL for short. It is an independent non-governmental organization incorporated by an act of parliament with a strength of about 150 elected fellows. Its functions as per its governing rules include acting as a consultative body to the government and providing independent advice on policy matters related to science and technology on subjects of national importance. So with this mandate, the Academy has been involved in this work since its inception. And there have been many contributions that have been made over the years. I just selected a few to describe just give you a few examples. It has been done by way of unsolicited submissions sometimes. For example, as a petition, now this is well known in the local arena, safeguarding natural resources. Then in the form of books, an example is given there on groundwater exploitation, and statements. The one that is up on the screen is a statement that was coordinated by the Inter-Academy Partnership on implications of urbanization in low and middle income countries. This was actually an internationally endorsed document and was widely distributed across the world, and it's available online. In addition to these unsolicited publications or contributions, the Academy has responded to specific requests that have been made at random timings by ministers, institutional heads, as well as task force members over the years. A few examples are given there. There are ongoing efforts as well for policy reviews. This we are doing through appointment of expert panels on themes of national importance to review the existing policies and make recommendations. And few examples of these thematic committees are given there on sustainable energy, water security, value addition to natural resources, and so on. This is work in progress, So I'm not going to elaborate on this. So with that, let me come to the study that is of interest here, institutionalizing science advice to governments. Importance of an independent and science-based policy making clearly became evident during the recent COVID pandemic. And we, the academy, got this opportunity to work towards this outcome when a call came out for funding for projects by Association of Academies and Societies of Sciences in Asia, ASA for short, which is essentially a regional network of science academies. So we put together a project proposal in consultation with a few regional academies. And to cut a very long story short, it was reviewed and evaluated quite positively, and funding was awarded in order to develop a framework for institutionalizing science advice to governments. So this study has a few components. One was identification of study partners, then to do a situation analysis of the processes that are in place and bodies that are involved in science advice in each of these partner countries in order to identify strengths and weaknesses so that we could share best practices. And this could lead to designing of contextualized roadmaps for science advice in each of these partner countries. So to start off with study partners, academies and associations that are members of ASA were identified as potential partners, and we reached out to them, and the ones who agreed to be partners or collaborate with us were identified as partners. The list is given over there. So there were 10 partners, and the geographic distribution of these partner academies are given in the map, a regional map that is shown there. So in order to gather data, we made use of a questionnaire, which was developed based on existing literature and which was further expanded using consultative interviews with experts who had experience in providing science advice. And this was tested through a small pilot study and validated before it was shared with the partner academies. So the representatives who, with whom we shared the questionnaire are here. Almost all of them are here, I am happy to say. And I can give you a glimpse of the questionnaire that is right here. I don't expect you to read it. This is just to show that it was an extensive document. It was a 9-page questionnaire, and it was a structured. It was structured document. However, it had depth, and it must have taken a lot of time and effort to complete it. So at this juncture, I would like to stop and thank everyone, thank all the partners who are here, who would have spent a lot of time and effort in completing this questionnaire. We had several Zoom sessions with the partners so that we could assist in various ways in completing this questionnaire. It had several components. It looked at the science advisory models that each of these countries uses, appointing authorities or mode of selection, regulatory mechanisms that are in place in each of these countries, the monitoring processes related to appointments, role of policymakers and the interactions that they have with the experts who are appointed, processes and networks used in providing science advice, And from the side of the advisors, the nature of evidence that they use, how they analyze this evidence, how conflicting evidence is handled, and also how uncertainties are conveyed. So all this information were gathered together with transparency, the level of transparency of the processes and impact assessment. And lastly, involvement of science academies in these processes were also noted down. So this was the questionnaire. These are the main components. And the responses after we received the completed questionnaire to the academy, the responses were analyzed. And a summary report was drafted based on these responses. There will be a presentation based on this summary report tomorrow morning, and it will be delivered by Professor Saroj Jayasinghe, who is in fact the main architect of this project idea. Prior to that, there will be a plenary presentation first thing in the morning. It will be on lessons for science advice from the COVID-19 pandemic. It will be delivered by Professor Roger Pielke Jr. from Colorado University, Boulder, USA. And based on these responses, the partners were requested to do a SWOT analysis to identify the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in their own science advice systems. So this is just an example from the SWOT analysis that was done for Sri Lanka. Again, I don't expect you to read it, just as an example. And there will be presentations on the SWOT analysis done for each of these countries by the representatives. They themselves did it, and now they are ready with the presentations that will be made towards late morning. And there will be a discussion that will follow, and it will be led by Professor Viranja Karunaratne and Professor Ranjit Senaratne. In the afternoon, there will be a plenary presentation, which is titled Establishing Science Advice Processes, the Malaysian Experience. I'm sure most of you may be aware that Malaysia has a fairly good system of science advice. So there may be a lot of things that the rest of us could learn from their experience of the processes that they have used. And it will be, the presentation will be made by Professor Hazami Habib, CEO of the Academy of Sciences, Malaysia, who is here with us. So making use of the SWOT analysis and teasing out its key elements, contextualized roadmaps will be designed for science advice for each partner country. Now, a framework for this activity will be presented by Professor Priyan Dias, who is the immediate past president of the Academy, and group work will follow in the afternoon that would enable each of these country representatives to develop their own roadmaps. So these will be very early documents that they will carry with them. These roadmaps that will be developed by the representatives of these countries will be presented the following day morning, that is on Saturday. And it will be followed by a presentation on case studies, a template for case studies with examples from Sri Lanka. Now, these case studies will be based on real events that will showcase how scientific evidence has been translated to policy with positive or negative impact. And it will be presented by Dr. Ranjit Mahindapala, who is also a former president of the Academy. And the workshop will be concluded with the summarizing the outcomes and also future actions which will focus on developing these roadmaps further after the representatives will take the documents, the early roadmaps that they will prepare during the workshop to their own countries and have dialogues with their colleagues in their own academies as well as other stakeholders. We feel that it will be developed further during the coming months. And also, it will be strengthened with the use of case studies to identify areas that could be used as case studies based on the events that have happened in their own countries. So the expected outcome of these activities would be contextualized roadmaps designed to trigger further discussions. The documents that will be prepared during the workshop will form the basis for that. And these are meant to promote awareness among all stakeholders, which will include the public administrators, and also policymakers. And we feel that it will be an opportunity to sensitize the younger generation of scientists to be part of this transformative project, particularly to ensure its continuity in years or decades to come. So we have gotten the Young Academy, young physician leaders, representatives from OWSD also involved in this study so that there will be continuity of this work. So let me welcome you again to this workshop, as well as for foreign delegates to welcome to Sri Lanka. And within the next 2 days, let's make a collective effort towards carving a path for promoting evidence-based policy making in our countries through institutionalizing science advice to governments. Wish you a productive event, and also I wish the foreign delegates that you will enjoy Sri Lanka, the visit to Sri Lanka. The vote of thanks will come right at the end, but I felt the need to mention others who were really involved in this work. Other co-members in the project team, which includes Professor Saroj Jayasinghe, Professor Priyan Dias, and Dr. Ranjit Mahindapala. Professor Nilmala Kottegoda, although she is not here, she was heavily involved in our discussions and contributed enormously to this work. ASA and IAP, of course, for providing financial assistance, as well as Professor Nouri and Dr. McGrath, who provided a lot of encouragement, advice, and guidance during this process. And again, to thank the study partners from regional academies and societies who have contributed a lot to get us up to this point. And I also would like to thank the representatives from the Young Academies, Nimshi and Tilini. Nimshi is the compeer. So they did help a lot with the logistics, particularly of this event. And Young Physician Leaders Forum representatives, Lakmali and Dakshita. Let me also thank guests and fellows for your presence here, which is indeed an honor, and we feel very encouraged by your presence. And last but not least, I would like to thank NITMI who is the research assistant, and Priyanka, the office secretary, without whose help we couldn't have done this. Thank you very much for your patient listening.